Hi, welcome to 28 Sports Show here on TV Sapienza. It's that program that we've created where we inspire, motivate, and encourage young ones to become amazing individuals and amazing adults. My name is Oma. You're very sweet on radio, TV, and social media. I must say, before we introduce our guests for today, that 28 Sports Show is a corporate social responsibility of Radio Sapienza and TV Sapienza as well, Sapienza Media International. What we do here is to, we identify talent, and when we identify young people that are doing amazingly well, we bring them to this program. They share their stories, they talk about whatever it is they're doing, and when they do that, they inspire younger ones. What I'm trying to say is that nobody pays anything to be on this program. It is very important that we understand that it is a corporate social responsibility of TV Sapienza. So that being said, I have an amazing young man and we'll be having an interesting conversation today on the program. I have with me Victor Mirack from Personal School of Learning Services, and he's been a guest over and over on this program, and today I'm super excited because Victor Mirack has come with something amazing. He calls it a test correction analysis workbook as a result of his years of working with primary school students, pupils, secondary school students, working with teachers, working with parents. You know, it's really commendable when we have someone who is able, who finds a need, finds a vacuum, and tries to fill that vacuum, to fill that need, which is what we believe Test Correction Analysis Workbook will be doing for students as well. So Victor Mirack, welcome, and congratulations on this.
Thank you.
Okay, so for people that are just seeing for the first time, a summary, an overview of what Victor Mirack and Personal School of Learning Services does.
Right, thank you, Omar. Always a privilege to be here. Thank you so much. And to our viewers there, thank you so much for always having me around. All right, my name is Victor Mirack, an academic mind therapist.
Academic mind therapist.
Yeah, not a teacher, in quotes. We do something beyond just teaching.
Okay.
All right, so we work on teachers as well, and also create system for effective teaching. So becoming an academic mind therapist is more of like a psychologist who works on the best learning pattern that can be introduced to help a child enhance his learning capacity. Okay, so what we do in Personal School of Learning Services is that we provide learning platforms and learning systems that we boost the learning capacity of students. And also we provide systems that will help teachers to teach effectively. So we serve as a bridge between the students, the parents, and the teachers. So we work on the minds of these three to enhance learning. So at large, we want to ensure that the education system of the country is enhanced through working on both teachers, pupils, students, and also parents. To see
and stakeholders in education as well. Now, let's look at correction. You know, before we came here, I was telling you that I noticed that a lot of teachers find it difficult to make correction. In fact, there was this Sunday school, I had a word there. The time I told her to bring her book back home, I noticed that she doesn't do corrections. She will fail a particular thing, there will be no correction. And I'm like, don't you do correction in your class? Like, don't your teacher take you through correction? Or is it that your teacher writes the correction on the board and you are not there to write the correction? So, and over time, I've come to realize that some schools find it difficult to make corrections. So how would you fill this vacuum of ensuring that teachers help students to make corrections when they fail?
Right. The essence of this workbook, we definitely cover this gap.
Okay.
How? What this workbook book does is that it has the column where teachers need to put down those corrections.
Okay.
And then it has a column or an area where parents need to now ask their children questions. So it serves now as a bridge.
Okay.
So parents should request for it. For instance, my child comes back home. Okay, Junior, can I see your test correction analysis workbook? Okay. So once you take the test correction analysis workbook, go to the back where parents and guidance are to go through. You will see a couple of questions. There are questionnaires that can be asked. So this indirectly is bringing the parents to be part of the learning of the child.
Okay.
So by asking, going through this workbook now, the parents will know whether you were able to fill in questions you failed. So if there are no questions you failed, you can now ask, does it mean that there was no classwork, no assignment, no test? So if we were not tested on anything, now does it mean that you got everything? Because the things you failed are supposed to appear here. So because they are supposed to appear here, parents are now like, I want to find out. So they are now interested in knowing what actually did you fail. Now, school authority also should be interested in knowing, teacher, how did you correct this child that failed? Let's see the correction you wrote. So when the school goes through it, they can now be able to say, the correction you made may not be able to give this child clarity in the area of this failure. So with this now, the school is monitoring the teacher.
Okay.
While the parents are monitoring their children.
Okay.
So it has now connected the four of them.
Everyone together.
The school, okay, the four of them, the school authority, the teachers, the pupils or the students, and then the parents.
Wow, amazing. Quite interesting. Now let's talk about how eventually they can make use of this workbook. You know, so it's because we've seen a lot of workbooks. I mean, I've come across a lot of workbooks that is expected to monitor the progress of students, the progress of a pupil, you know. And interestingly and shockingly so, are you aware that some of these workbooks, some teachers don't even have the time to go through it? A situation where a child comes back home with an assignment. Probably the parents helps the child do the assignment. The child goes back to school and the teacher does not mark the assignment. How can we analyze, how can we figure out, analyze and help such a pupil?
I believe that this workbook is not serving that purpose. There should be other ways by which schools should look into this critically. Okay. Right. So I wouldn't want to go beyond the duration of the workbook. Okay. But for school to solve that problem, they need to give maximum attention to these things with respect to how teachers actually handle that. So but if your workbook
is going to be adopted in schools right now, how can your workbook, because we are looking at solving problems, right? Sure. How can your workbook now, I just explained the situation, a situation where a teacher gives an assignment. The child comes home, does the assignment, gets back to school. Probably the teacher does not mark the assignment. And it's supposed to be filled in this workbook, right?
What the person's failed is what is expected to be filled in the book. Okay. Not everything.
Not everything?
Yes.
What the person failed?
What the workbook does is, it's called test correction analysis workbook.
Is it for just test, midterm tests,
no,
classwork?
Everything, whether your classwork, your assignments, all of them are tests. Okay. Which helps you to prepare for an exam. Okay. Okay, so this workbook is saying, before you write an exam, use this workbook and help yourself through those tests, such as assignment, workbook, classwork, midterm tests, and the rest of them. Now, what this does is that, if, for instance, you are given a classwork, 5 questions, and then you happen to fail 2, or 1 as the case may be, you pick up this TCA, and then you will see the columns here. So if you watch, you see the columns here, right? So when you look at the columns, you see very clearly. Now, you are expected to write out
teacher's questions, okay?
And that question should be the question you failed. Okay. Not every question.
Oh, okay.
So you just pick that one you failed, because the essence of that is we want to bring your mind into why you failed this thing. Okay. The one you got, you knew it. But this one, you failed it. So we don't just want to sweep it under the carpet. Yeah. We want to bring your mind energies to find out, why did you fail it? Oh. So we now psychologically design this so that when you write that question, you will now write the answer you thought was the right answer. Okay. All these things, you are the one doing it. Because psychologically, when you are the one penning down something, it has effect on your brain, on your mind. So now the next one is the teacher, where the teacher needs to now write out what actually is the right answer.
The teacher's answer.
Now that is the teacher's answer.
Okay.
Okay, so now with this, now the fourth column is where it is very, very important, which says explain clearly why you failed the question.
Okay.
That is where you are going to now compare your answer and the teacher's answer. The act of that comparison and the time it takes you to compare, there is something that is happening in your brain which has to do with showing you what you did wrong that you shouldn't repeat.
Okay.
That's why it's called, there's a place we wrote error. It helps to correct error. Now, so while we are now trying to find that, we said explain it clearly, which means you should speak English there. I failed this in one of my pupils. I gave it to him. He explained it clearly. Said the reason I failed this is because I supposed to use equation 1, but I went and used equation 2 to solve the question. That's why I got the wrong answer. Now, I wasn't the one that said it. So for the child to analyze this thing, something has actually happened psychologically. There is no how the child will fail that question again. Why? What he or she thought was the right answer has been countered. And he was the one or she was the one that discovered that error.
Okay.
So it is different that somebody discovered an error for you and that you discovered the error by yourself.
Okay.
So that process of discovering that error is what we psychologically viewed as an impact.
Oh.
So when you successfully discover a thing, for instance, someone that makes a discovery of a thing, we have a first class insight on that thing than you were told about the thing. You may easily forget, but what you discovered by yourself, you will hardly forget. So just like I said in the radio program, is one of my pupils asked me, Mirack, you said I failed this thing. How did I fail it? I know I got it. I said, yes, you tried actually, but there's something I am seeing here that is an error. Can you please trace it? Go ahead and trace it. Use your TCA. He picked his TCA, started filling. Got to the point where I said, explain clearly why you failed this question. He took time. I was saying, Mirack, this thing is this. I said, no, look at it clearly. So by the time he finished that, he was now the one to trace, okay, Mirack, this is where I made the mistake. And I said, wow. So Mirack wasn't the one that showed you your error. You were the one that traced the error. Psychologically, it has a strong effect.
Yeah.
So now, the last column now says, cover this answer you've gotten.
Okay.
The right answer. Because this is a personal thing. Learning is a personal thing. So once you cover it, the last students I had, I went to their house to work on them. So because I discovered that once I say pick your TCA, they're interested, they're happy.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because they've got to trace something by themselves. So when they now finish, they covered these areas and then got to this last column. So now said, rewrite the correct answer.
Okay.
Somebody might say, is it not normal thing to do? No, there is a psychological effect. Everything we do in personal school of learning services has to do with the mind. There's a move in the mind that some persons may not trace, but because we are into the game, we are tracing what is actually happening. There is a shift. So when you close it, you are not seeing it. So, and you're trying to picture out. I wrote this one before and they said I failed it. Okay, this one now, what will it be? What will it be? What will it be? Okay, this was what I wrote now. They now start rewriting it exactly. I could just picture that guy yesterday, or the first day, how he covered everything and he was picturing the correct stuff. So at the end of the day, he wrote the correct stuff again. So there is no how you will see that question in exam and you will fail it again.
Wow.
This is the primary reason we designed this book, this workbook. 70% of questions that appear in exams comes from assignments, midterm test, classwork, project and other tests. So instead of you trying to study everything, part of the ways to study is pick those things. Amongst every other thing you'll be studying, pick them and give maximum attention. By the time you use this workbook, there is no how. If such question appears in exam, you know that this was the first answer I wrote and I didn't get it. So I used my TCA to rewrite. And I was able to trace the error by myself. There's no how you fail it again. So that is primarily why this workbook was designed.
Okay.
It has a part to help the parents, of which in the course of that we can be able to look into.
Now let's talk about it immediately. The way you explained, because I mean you just explained how a pupil can actually use it, and it's went smoothly. Now, in the aspect of the parents, how can the parents use it and ensure that there is efficiency and it's effective as well?
Now, see how it works. When a child comes back, mommy is aware of this workbook, because we're not bringing this workbook just like other workbooks where the pupil buys or the student buys and then you just make a work with it. No. The way I train my kids or my pupils in Regent College, or maybe other schools that have been like Social College and the rest, the way I train them, you must be conscious of this.
Okay.
Because I'm going to explain
using this.
No, before I printed it like this, I've actually given them sample.
Okay.
So most times I can use sample of it to now teach them. There is a particular sample I normally use. That one is almost filled up.
Oh.
All right. So now I attach so much value on this workbook, and I make you to know the importance of this. So when they get home, they let their parents know about this workbook. Now, if you look at the workbook, you see where we requested for the parents' name and contact. The essence of that is we want to be part of your child's development. We don't just want to leave you to let it just be a normal thing. So we can be able to put a call across or through an email. How far about this child? And then we now tell you, please kindly go to the back of this workbook. You will see 4 questionnaires or 5 questionnaires that is meant for you. Number 1 questionnaire here says, okay, this is what the parents, it says parents/guidance work to help keep the child on track. So here the parents and guidance need to have a strong emphasis on this. So what do you need to do? Okay, Junior, come. Let me see your TCA worksheet for today, before the week. They go through it. Okay. You failed one question in maths, you failed another question in civic, okay? In chemistry, you failed, okay? All right. Now, let's go through it now, because most parents do not have time for their children.
At all. I even wanted to talk about this.
And I want to encourage parents. How I know of a parent that she said, my children are my best companion. She said, I move everywhere with them, virtually everywhere. I drive them, I ask them questions, we sit together. Why? She contacted us for some work also. Okay, so she works closely with us. Now you can now ask, Junior, did you understand what your teacher taught in this question that you failed? The day it was taught. That question alone, Junior can now say, okay, mommy, the day it was taught, I was not in school. The day it was taught, I was having headache. There must be one excuse or the other. Then you now say, okay, you mark it. That may be one of the reasons Junior didn't get this thing well. So we are indirectly or directly engaging you to be part of your child's learning work. Because if you continue to be nonchalant about your child, you will definitely continue to point accusing fingers on the school system or the teachers, whereas you have a role to play. So TCA brings you into the game to play with the team. So no longer sitting at the fence to lay complaints. You're watching. So there are questions you can ask. So when you get all these questions, you can now figure these things out by yourself. Why Junior or why your child didn't do well in this question. Then if you need further help, you now contact the organization. So once you contact us for further work, we can now give you other tips and things you need to do to self-help your child.
Wow, that's amazing. So when would this book be available in the market?
It's actually, this is the what do we call it, the sample or the demo or the model for us in engineering.
Okay.
Right? So but once we have schools that are interested in this, we begin to mass produce. And one good thing about this workbook is it gives every student access to our mentorship platform.
Oh, automatically.
Once you buy, you get enrolled. The school will tell us the list of all the students. They will get enrolled in our database. You have access to ask us any question related to any academic challenge. Even if you have a question that was asked in class that is very difficult, you couldn't be able to solve. Once you are here in this platform and you have this our workbook, you have access.
Oh, wow.
So with that, we can connect with our educators around so they can now provide answers to that. So this workbook helps us to have access to work on you.
Okay.
So that's why it's not an ordinary workbook. It's a psychological workbook which helps us to connect to you, have access to your parents. Just like I told you, in my I developed a learning group. Any school I go, I develop a learning group. And in this learning group, you have time to study at night. Sometimes these pupils or these students call their fellow pupils and students, hey, we are studying so and so time. Mirack said we are studying by 8. So everyone is standing, we are studying, and at the end of the day, we come to school, we defend what we studied.
Wow.
So this is something we want to build, a community we want to build. So bringing this TCA worksheet gives us access to go closer, and you have access to get any information that will help boost your learning capacity.
Yeah. You know, you talked about being an academic mind therapist. What? I was just thinking, you know, what you do right now is what we are really lacking in our education system.
Exactly.
Because to a large extent, a lot of teachers think it's all about teaching English language, mathematics, physics, chemistry, and all that. That's why you hear teachers, they will call maybe a particular child that is still struggling with grasping a particular thing, they'll call that person Olodo.
Olodo.
Right?
Which has a psychological effect on the child.
Effect on the child. So what can we do? Because you said you train teachers, right?
Sure.
So what can we do to ensure that teachers look beyond teaching just English, mathematics, physics, and knowing that education, learning, has a lot to do with the mind and psychology of the child? What can we do differently?
Each time I speak with school owners, I tell them that beyond having teachers who teach academically, you need to have an academic mind therapist. Like in Regent's College, we teach them robotics.
Okay.
So, but in the robotics, there's part of the course that has to do with cognitive learning. That's where I handle.
Okay.
So what I do there is sometimes I move to the class. I will sit with the students and I'm watching them. Every bit of what is happening there, I'm taking cognizance of it.
Oh, wow.
The way the teacher is teaching, the way the students are assimilating things. At the end of the day, I will do my own cognitive work on them. So what I would tell every school is go for an academic mind therapist who is not just sitting in the office, who will be working, entering classes, feeling what the students are feeling, asking questions, connecting to parents. Because beyond the school walls, there is work to be done at home.
Yeah.
So that is what we do in personal school of learning services. We are that bridge that goes beyond. That's why I used to tell parents, I am not a subject teacher, so don't call me for a subject teaching stuff. I can actually help because I have knowledge in those areas, but that's not my job. My job description is to work on your mind, to become your own self-teacher, learn these things, become better.
You teach them how to learn, how to study.
So how to study those things, those information, pick them.
Like you did, you studied which engineering?
Mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering. Because you studied mechanical engineering, you can teach physics.
I can teach physics.
You can even teach mathematics.
Yes, no.
But as far as you're concerned, you're going to help the students understand. I
am helping you to understand how to read this thing.
How to read.
Study it on your own. Don't be Oliver Twist that will always need for more. There is time for you. What if there is no good teacher? What if the teacher is not teaching well? what will you do for yourself? You will lay blames on the teacher.
There's nothing wrong with being an Oliver Twist now. Asking for more.
You keep asking for more. If you keep asking for more in a good direction, is good. But not in when you're supposed to engage the energies of your mind to think.
Yeah.
Expand it to do something. Like my kind of person, I do more of personal stuff. Give me a tip of this thing and leave the rest. I go into the work, debug my mind, work on my mind, tell my mind this, get something out of this thing. The only reason you need to get back to this person is if you have something to put you through on. The reason is this: any knowledge you discover by yourself
stays.
It will be very difficult to leave you.
True. I agree with you.
And that is what we are trying to encourage in schools.
Yeah. Stop
waiting for the lecturers in university. Most times they will be doing guy. Tell me, you don't do guy for me. I'll just trace your book.
Shakara.
Go through your book, go to YouTube, download the visual stuffs related to that. Study them, analyze them with the way, because I have materials that I wrote on how to debug information. I'll just take your topic, follow those systems, debug what you are trying to say. And at the end of the day, there is no how. If you wake me up tomorrow, I will explain that thing very well.
Wow.
Why? Because I've developed myself, trained myself on how to become my own self-teacher. And this is what we want to do in schools. If schools can call for academic mind therapists, you can also call for us at Personal School of Learning Services. We can come in. We do a whole lot of work. And then parents, if you want personal work on your student, on your children, you can also let us know. We can work on them to help them become their own self-teacher. You will see them studying on their own. Even without the help of a teacher. I'm not saying teaching, having a teacher is bad. No. But what I'm saying is this: we must develop our students, our pupils, to learn how to become their own self-teachers. Study on your own. Learn how to take these responsibilities on your own so that you stop laying blames on anyone.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's quite inspiring, honestly. And we're going to have more of you. The next time you're going to be on this program, we'll talk about examination, you know, how to douse the pressure surrounding examination, assignments, tests, you know. We're going to have more of you to talk about this, because it's really an important aspect of education and learning. Thank you so much, Victor Mirack, from Personal School of Learning Services. You're on Facebook, right? I see you on Facebook. You can as well contact Victor Mirack on Facebook, Personal School of Learning Services. I'll put up his description, everything about him, on my own Facebook page, Oma Sweetheart on Radio TV. So you can go ahead. I will also put up everything about him on social media so that you can follow him and peradventure get his services when you need it. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for coming through. And congratulations. We look forward to your mass producing this, and we hope that it's really going to bridge the gap, just like you said, when we have more students and more pupils who can actually after whatever it is being done in school, they come home, they understand it, they can actually teach themselves and understand these things. I think it's going to go a long way to help in their education and their learning as well. And it will advance the frontiers of education, because, like we said, education is number 4 on Sustainable Development Goals. The need for all to be educated across all ages and time by 2030. My name is Oma. You're very sweetheart on radio, TV, and social media. Thank you so much for joining us. It's all about education and ensuring that the teenagers get the very best of it. They get the very best of education, the very best of life, and the very best of everything in all ramification. I look forward to having you again next time on 20 Post Show. From me to every one of you out there, God bless you. Bye-bye.